Build Your Business listeners. This is Matt Reynolds, your host for the podcast, and you are listening to what we are calling the legacy episodes. And really, these are the pre-episodes that really led to this podcast, the Build Your Business podcast. This is really my life's work and my brother's life's work in building your business. And so they were originally published in the Barbell Logic podcast as part of the Principles or Coaching Success series, but really touch on similar topics to the Build Your Business podcast: how to improve your productivity, how to set and accomplish your goals, deprioritize urgent tasks, to focus on what is most important to you, and most importantly, to become a better person and leader and business owner overall. I'm proud to bring you these podcasts. Again, many years of life's work, several years of podcasts, and several decades of business ownership. Hope you enjoy them and learn from them. You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Barbell Logic podcast. I'm your host, Matt Reynolds. This is another episode of the Coaching Success series, and we have a special guest today. Welcome, Adam Skillin, block coach.
Hello.
Adam has been with us. Were you an OG? Were you in from day one? You were, right?
Yeah, December 1st, 2016. Yes,
That's
sir.
what I thought. Okay. Adam, I think you have more clients than anyone else at Block.
That is my understanding.
Which is one of the reasons we wanted to chat. You have a professional background that is not in coaching. And so we just wanted to tell your story today because, again, we don't just want to make empty promises or overpromise and underdeliver, but I can remember you were one of the first, you and Carl Schute and some of our other coaches. I can remember I was in a grocery store in the little deli sitting at a table working when you said, I just left my professional job to do this full time.
August 1st, 2018.
I love it. I started crying. I was like, everybody at the grocery store, like in the deli section, I'm sitting there eating a roast beef sandwich or something. And everybody's like, why is this big dude crying? And it's like, because this is working and people are leaving. So first off, give us a little background of your non-coaching, non-fitness professional career, where you're from, how old you are, some basic stuff like that. Just kind of the quick elevator pitch of what is your background there in the professional world.
Sure. So I've lived my entire life in the greatest state in the nation, New Jersey. I went to this good state college, worked throughout that in the banking industry, home equity loans, stuff like that. Graduated, took a full-time job with that company.
When is that, by the way? How old are you?
I'm 42. So that was, graduated college in 2004.
Okay. Yep.
Took a job at the bank for a while, but I kind of always knew that I did not want to go down the path, standard, 40, 45 years of 9-to-5 path. I was always intent on finding a different way to make things work.
Yep.
So I left the bank for a while, tried a couple of things where I thought I could, maybe just save up so much money that I'd just spend the rest of my life managing it.
Right.
Those didn't work out. I got into the securities industry, stocks and bonds sales.
Sure.
Right after the do not call list law went into effect. So when you're cold calling and every time you dial a number, it won't go through because there's a digital check on which numbers are on the do not call list.
Yeah.
And all the ones that you want to call are, all you do is dial the phone and get beep, beep, beep all day, every day.
Yep. You're blocked.
So that got a little frustrating. Moved on from that. Actually went to my couch for about 2 weeks. I had no idea where I was going to go. I just couldn't do that anymore. After about 2 weeks, I was looking through the actual newspaper job listings.
Wow.
Trying to figure out what the next step was. And I found a advertisement to go get a bartending certification. So I went and got a bartending certification. In retrospect, I didn't actually need that. There's no requirement for that in the state of New Jersey. And it didn't really open any doors. But I did take my little certificate around and go start stopping by establishments where I thought maybe that would be a good fit for me, and spent the next 5 years mostly working in the restaurant industry.
This is like 07 to 11 or something, or when is that?
The bartending stuff, mostly bartending, was 2005 to 2010.
Okay.
Along the way in there, I got my real estate license, real estate agent.
Great time to get a real estate license. 2008, 2009. I mean, it's hot.
Perfect time. So that's 2 for 2. That's 2 for 2 on timing for me.
Yeah. Not a great, you're poor at picking macroeconomic timing for your job set.
So, I did that and worked in the restaurants kind of part-time and tried to cobble things together. I was living in a basement apartment. My rent was, and this is New Jersey, remember, my rent was $300 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And I had to sleep with my winter coat and 3 blankets because I didn't have real heat. So I said, you know what? I got to get back to a 9 to 5 for now. I got to get some stability. I got to get a chance to make it to the next, opportunity to not do that.
Sure.
So I went back to the bank that I had worked in all throughout college and immediately after college, got rehired there and progressed through the corporate ladder at a, relatively regular pace for the next 8 years.
So you, again, I see this a lot, even from like Gary Vee and guys like that, which I'm not super promoting that sort of guy, but I was a teacher for 12 years. And I thought to myself, like, man, what if I could have the 10, 11, 12 years of teaching back and had started business back then? It's probably a stupid question to ask, because the reality is that you don't understand how good life is as a business owner and entrepreneur until you've done the thing that you actually sort of hate, which is, for me, was public school. It wasn't teaching. I actually enjoyed teaching kids. I just hated all of the other stuff. I often think like, boy, I sure wish I would have gotten started in entrepreneurship and business when I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, as opposed to 32 years old. But the reality is, like, that's kind of what happened with you too. You sort of floundered for a decade or so in professional jobs and trying to figure out, like, where do I fit? And I'll speak for me, I won't speak for you. We've heard that the average, like the frontal lobe of males specifically, don't really get developed till like 25 or 26. I think mine was a little later. I hit puberty later. So I think, I was maybe 30 before the brain was fully developed. And I finally started pushing into entrepreneurship. But it's funny because it seems like, for me, like, while there is a thing, if everything had worked out perfect and I had started business 10 years earlier, 12 years earlier, like, maybe I'd be further along the road than I am. But I also know that all those things that I went through in those years made me who I am now. Some of those hardships and, stuff that was just pain in the ass and sort of failures, personal failures, you would look at and you're like, that was necessary to see, who I was to become at some point down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, without some of the stumbles along the way, I think I wouldn't likely even be open to a lot of the opportunities that I ended up having come my way. So, I went back to the bank. I had started with a customer at the first bar I worked at, had talked me into, come roll around on some mats in my basement. I'm going to show you something called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, what the heck is that? I had never heard of it. Start training there. A couple of weeks, we're playing around, group of 3 or 4 guys every Sunday. And he goes, you got to come to the actual Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school and sign up. I'm making bartender money at this point. Like, do I really want to do this? They talk me into it. I end up signing up there. This is throughout a lot of the bartending time and into the second wave of banking time, 5, 6, 7 years down the road there. Now I'm competing in amateur mixed martial arts. I'm getting close to, the black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at this point. And I say, you know what? I got it. I figured it out. I am going to try to get a couple of professional MMA fights. Just a few, not at top UFC championship level, just something professional.
Sure.
And I'm going to open a jiu-jitsu store, right?
So then you'll have some street cred.
This is the side hustle that I can turn into my main hustle.
Right.
Did not work out. Did not work out.
Did you ever get the fights?
I got no pro fights. Nobody wanted to put me.
Well, so you're an undefeated professional MMA fighter. You've never been defeated.
Undefeated. I've got 2 big, stupid looking, shiny leather and gold belts for the weight classes I was, nominally the champion of, both the 135 and the 130 pound weight classes.
That's amazing. How tall are you?
Driver's license 5'7", so I'm 5'6" and an 18.
I love it. It's like the Reynolds exaggeration is spread to the staff. So you're 5'6", you were 130 pounds. So you're like, obviously you're skinny as a rail. Are you training with barbell strength training yet? Or did the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu lead into strength training?
Exactly. I said, okay, nobody wants to offer me a pro fight. Also, I remember I was Googling potential opponents for future fights, and I saw this guy deadlift 405. And I was like, how is that possible for a guy who's going to fight in my weight class?
Right.
And, maybe this guy was 160 and he was cutting weight down. I don't know. I saw him deadlift 405 for one. And I was like, okay, this is something I have to pursue, even just to get to the next level in the MMA stuff. Maybe if I'm slamming guys harder, maybe then I'm going to get the pro fight.
And this is what, like 11 or 12, like 2000, somewhere in that ballpark?
Somewhere around 2010.
Okay, yeah. So 2010. Okay. So now this 14 years ago. So you're 130, 135 pounds, 5.5 feet. You're like Rudy.
Yep.
You're 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing. You're like, I got to get strong or I can't progress.
I got to get stronger so that I can figure out what it is I need to do in that cage to get someone to think I'm exciting enough to put in a professional promotion.
Right.
So that I can have my street cred, nobody's going to see my air quotes, to be able to open a jiu-jitsu academy and make that transition from regular 9-to-5 working life to doing something that is fun and rewarding and, good for people's health, getting your elbows twisted off, obviously the healthiest choice you can make.
It's like my strongman, same sort of thing.
And it didn't work out.
Let's just exacerbate the hip arthritis.
Right. So what ended up happening was both coworkers at the bank and my jiu-jitsu classmates would here and there say, oh, I've noticed you're getting stronger. It's really having a positive, beneficial effect on your grappling. Show me what to do. I'm going to come over. So the next thing you know, I'm de facto coaching a handful of people.
Sure.
Various days of the week.
Just friends, right? And just...
for free.
Yep. Just getting experience and helping them because you like them, love them, care about them.
I remember I had a day off that I had to use because that's one of the things you love in the corporate world is, use your time off or it'll expire.
Right. So we just decided to go to flexible PTO. It's been a massive improvement in, I think, morale. Some people actually, you kind of have to tell them like, hey, you need to take vacation because they get nervous about it. So, okay. So you have a day you have to take, you're going to lose.
I have a day I'm going to lose if I don't take it.
Yep.
And there is a seminar to get a coaching certification going on in Brooklyn starting Friday.
You all know the one. We won't say it, but this is how we all got started.
So I sign up last minute, take my Friday day off, and wasn't really in a position time-wise or funds-wise to get a hotel in Brooklyn. So I'm driving 2 hours.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
I remember I gave CJ Gocher a ride somewhere and got slightly lost on my way home the one night. So it was arduous.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a 2-hour drive because where I live in New Jersey, but sometimes it is just because crossing
traffic and all this stuff. By the way, I remember those. I did some of those in Brooklyn. I remember one time, Tom Campitelli and I, we landed about the same time, met at the airport, rode an actual bus, and then had to get off and get on another bus, and then get on another bus, and then walk like a half mile to the gym.
Wow.
I remember thinking to myself, there has to be a better way to do this. And of course, within a year or two, Uber comes out and I'm like, oh, this is the way you do it. So anyway.
That's a better way.
Yeah. So you're driving 2 hours one way to this seminar, which is all night Friday night.
Yeah, all day Saturday and most of the day Sunday.
Yep.
And by the skin of my teeth, I get through the platform,
and pass.
And they're like, man, barely. You barely got this. Next thing you know, the day my name goes up in a certain directory, it turns out that a neighbor of mine had in the interim between when I went and when I had to write the essays and do all that stuff, had gone to the seminar in Texas and had been told that there was going to be a new coach soon in her neighborhood that she could get coaching from. So the very first day that my name was listed in the directory of coaches, I had someone email me and say, I would like to pay you for coaching.
There were no highly qualified coaches in New Jersey. You're the one.
Yeah. When I got that coaching certification, I very soon became the only coach with that certification in the state.
Yeah.
There had been one before, Dwayne Wint.
Yes.
He's a great guy who I've met, but he's not a coach. He's just an engineer.
Big guy. I remember. Yeah.
Big guy. Kong, they call him.
Yeah. Kong. Yeah. super strong presser. I saw him press like 275. I remember him.
Yeah. But he relinquished that certification very shortly. And so I was the only one for a while.
Yep.
So the light bulb goes off and I say, this is what I'm going to do as the side hustle. I'm kind of getting towards too old for the MMA thing to keep going forward. And this is actually, in a lot of ways, a more scalable entree into barbell coaching, because all you need is a squat rack, a barbell, a bench, and some plates.
Sure.
You don't need thousands of dollars worth of fancy mats and an academy and,
Sure.
all of that stuff. So I realized pretty quickly that was the way to go. Kept working at the bank, was doing a good deal of coaching between evenings, weekends, etc., and just putting that money aside for being ready to make the bigger transition. It was going to be a big jump.
Sure.
Right? Because if I can only do 3 sessions a week, to go to much more sessions a week where I'm going to make enough on an ongoing basis to fund life is a little bit of a big jump.
Yeah, it's high risk. I mean, you've got a stable salary.
Benefits.
And this coaching thing, you make good money per hour, but there's not very many hours. And in order to get more hours to coach, you've got to leave the other job.
Right.
You've got to make the shift.
While I was figuring out how much do I need, how much can I save, can I get there, online coaching started to become a thing. I'm like, okay, so how would it even work? So that very first client I had, I said, will you beta test like some way of us cobbling together softwares and doing online coaching so I can figure out how I can do this on my own? Then I get a call from Reynolds.
That's me.
Reynolds says, I've got this all figured out. We'd love you to come on board. December 1st, 2016 is day one. Rewind 4 days. So I'm in. I'm like, this is it. This is going to get me there.
Yep.
4 days back in time before December 1st, I go on a first date off of a dating website.
I do not know this story. This is great. I didn't realize this was 4 days before we launched the business. That's the first date with your future wife.
4 days before we launched. And she says, what do you do for work? And I said, well, I've got this sort of mundane bank job at the moment. But in 4 days, I am starting the online version of my current side hustle, which is barbell strength coaching.
So cool.
And she said, that sounds great. I work from home too.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. A little over 4 months later, my wife's company had approached her shortly after we met. They're based in New Zealand. They wanted her to move to Auckland to fulfill a slightly different role than the one that she currently does. And so we said, what are we going to do if you have to move to Auckland, New Zealand, which get out the globe very far from New Jersey?
Probably the furthest place maybe in the whole world from New Jersey, in fact.
It's about as far as you can get. Yeah, it's very close to as far as you can get from New Jersey.
I mean, it's not Antarctica, but outside of that.
Long distance relationship's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So during those negotiations, obviously we didn't move to Auckland. She told them it had to be a package deal. And the only way that that could happen was going to be if we got married. So we got married. We got married a little over 4 months after we met. I was still in the bank. My wife does a very high level job. Like her company works talking Ivy's top 10 schools.
Right.
That kind of stuff is usually the aim. My wife has 2 Ivy League degrees. So,
wow.
That's the pocket that is. And so it was then so much more foreseeable that I wasn't going to have to be at the bank, being a 2-income household now and everything.
Sure. By the way, did you have big real wedding, or did you go to like the justice of the peace and just get it done legally, or or just something small? Or
our entire wedding, including a weekend trip to Cape May, but in the spring, we got married March 31st. So we left that day, was about $800.
Oh, dude, lesson learned, kids. Listen.
We had an officiant come to our apartment that we were living in at that time and perform the ceremony. We had 2 witnesses. We had to buy our 2 witnesses a nice little gift.
No parents, no family, just like your close friends as witnesses.
Called all the parents on Zoom when we got to Cape May and told them, guess what? Guess what? You have a new daughter-in-law, new son-in-law.
Yeah, that's cool.
My dad knew that it was going to happen, but not the timing. But none of the other parents even knew that we were going to do it.
And this is early 17, right?
This is March 31st, 17. Yeah, I better get that
awesome.
right in case my wife
So,
listens.
So you've been strength coaching now for Barbell Logic as an online coach for like 4 months. That's all.
Yeah.
But the potential of moving to New Zealand is now like, you can work from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, except I didn't have enough clients to pull my side of the weight, right?
Sure.
At that point, because I think you were limiting us at first while we were getting everything.
Right. I was just like, I think when we first launched, we had a great, first month or first couple of days of signups. And I just wanted everybody to be able to get one client.
Yep.
And by the end of the first day or so, everyone had like 3 clients. We had hired like 30 coaches. So we had like 90 signups. And I was like, okay, this is going to work. And then, of course, it just continued to grow from there. And so, yes, it didn't take very long. It didn't take that long for you to get, 10, 15 clients.
I remember you saying at one point that 10 was going to be the limit for now. And anybody who proved themselves, we could have a conversation down the road about going up to 20.
Got it. And how many do you have today?
I hover around 50.
It's so awesome. You are one of the 1099 contractor coaches who's making in the 6 figures at Barbell Logic. And you are working, I think you told me, between 75 and 100 minutes a day. Is that right?
If you average it out throughout the week, that's probably accurate. But just a clarifying point on that, just something that I think about when I talk about that is that's real work time.
Right.
If you work an 8-hour workday, most people report that they work a little over 4 hours in an 8-hour workday.
Right.
But yeah, those numbers are true work time that I'm just sitting there making the videos, doing the programming, everything. And programming for 50 clients a week is a lot.
Sure. But you don't have the commute.
No commute.
You don't have to put on the purple polo and go to the gym. You don't have to show up 15 minutes early before every client. You don't have the client at 10 a.m., but not 11 a.m. So you get a broken hour from 11 to 12. And then you get the lunch crew that comes in. And then 1 to 3 p.m., there's nobody there. Then you pick up the afternoon crew. So again, a lot of times coaches will say like, oh, I make $50 an hour or $100 an hour or whatever the thing is. And you go like, well, you left your house at 5 a.m. and you got home at 7 p.m.
Right.
And how much money did you make today? And they're like, yeah, $300. You're like, that's not $100 an hour. Yes, you made $100 an hour for the 1 hour that you coached each of the 3 clients that you coached. But if that took 12 or 13 hours worth of your day, including the commute, one thing I love about this job is we just go downstairs. I'm at the cabin now. I've got a contractor in here. He's installing a wood stove. And I was saying, like I just get up every morning and walk downstairs and make a cup of coffee or an Americano on my espresso machine and pop in a Zen pouch and go nicotine and caffeine and just start hammering work. And there's no lead in, there's no commute. I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't have to put on the polo. None of that stuff. So you're right. So while the work is, I think, very much more focused on what we do, if you do it well and do it with efficiency, it's very, very focused work, or it can take too long and you can get distracted and you break down a set of videos and you start scrolling Instagram or TikTok or something. But if you do it very focused, the efficiency is fantastic and the dollar per hour is fantastic. And I remember several times we've had conversations where you're coaching in the morning and you're like, it's lunchtime. And you're like, my wife and I were going to the Jersey Shore and we're going to the beach. And we're going to hang out at the beach the rest of the afternoon.
So in New Jersey, most of the beaches you have to pay to get onto. So that's one minus for New Jersey is paying for the beaches. But we buy the season pass every year, which works out much cheaper as long as you get on the beach over 10 times. And we do at least triple that.
That's so great.
We're on the beach just for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then the great thing is we can get home from the beach. You're going to want to shower, whatever. While my wife's in the shower, I bust out a couple more video feedbacks. And that means that the next day doesn't have to start when I left off today. It gives me that extra cushion.
That's right.
Of when I get to start my next day. So I can be really flexible, watch the weather. If the weather's going to be so perfect, maybe I'll get on at 8 at night and just clear everything out. So the next day I'm waking up to that many fewer and I can get my feedback done, get my lifts done, and be on the beach, 2 p.m. for a couple hours, making vitamin D. It's a great life.
I love it. First off, thank you for telling the story. To wrap this up and to put you on the spot. So you've done the coaching in person, you've done a combo of coaching in person and online, and then you've transitioned into fully online. And obviously there was a time period where you were, working in a professional job and online, and now you're just fully online. We talk a lot about strength, improving quality of life for the client. How has online coaching in the system that we use, again, and I think one of the things that's really important for us is to really redefine what online coaching is. Like most of the world still thinks it's like buying a program
Yeah, you get a spreadsheet for 12 weeks.
Yep. Redefining traditional, antiquated personal training. So in the system of online coaching we've set up, which we use at Barbell Logic, as well as try to teach and train and license out to turnkey coaches, like what are the big, really improvements in quality of life that you've seen over the last couple of years? I mean, obviously, when you first started doing this, even when you went full-time online, we weren't utilizing turnkey coach. As that has changed over time, and I think Andrew and the dev team have continued to trim the fat and the waste and to allow you to provide better and better service, no loss in service, but an improvement, I hope, with an improvement in efficiency. What are the things, like just the real in the trenches, real life things that you've seen that like have led to a quality of life improvement for you over the last couple of years in this realm?
Yeah, as far as our operations kind of go, switching to turnkey coach was humongous. That just having everything in a reliable, because the other software that we used before was not always reliable about your notifications and your feed.
Sure.
Having that be reliable and everything in one place was huge. The next thing that was huge was when the video feedback function got built in.
Yeah, the integrated screen recorder. So now you can literally speak to your client without using another piece of software. It's all the same software.
Right. So I have the client's squat set up. I blow that up, cover the whole screen with it. My face is in the corner. So if I need to go, look, turn your hand this way, I can just show them.
Give me more back angle and I turn my forearm.
I don't have to think about how to type that out. I don't have to think about whether they know internal, external rotation, pronation, supination. I don't need to say anything. Go like this.
Yeah.
Go like this is so powerful. And being able to just have it all together there, it's just click, record, click, click, record, click. And it's extremely efficient.
Yeah.
And because of that, it allows me to have so much flexibility. Obviously we have all the flexibility about where we work from. You're in a cabin. I went with my wife on a work trip to Vietnam. I worked from Vietnam on the other side of the world.
Isn't that cool?
Hotel Wi-Fi, plug it in. It just works. It's just, I'm still at work.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So that's been awesome. But yeah, and with my wife's schedule, sometimes she has to talk to kids in time zones anywhere around the world. So if she's working late a couple of days this week and sleeping in the next day, I just have the complete flexibility. As long as I'm within my 24-hour, I do 24-hour for my clients, even on the weekends.
Yep.
Barbell Logic policy is that we have a 48-hour window.
But I think a lot of us do that. I do the same thing. Like if I can stay, I know it's 48 hours on the weekends, but I don't like stuff piling up for 2 days.
That's what I don't like.
And for a guy like you that's got as many clients as you have, that's the thing. So
I don't want to wake up to 40 workouts Sunday morning.
You have a wife that's super busy, but gets to work from home. And so her schedule is a little less flexible than yours is, but your flexibility of schedule allows you to coach and work when she works.
Right.
I've heard this from Nikki Berman. So many of our clients have talked to Nikki Berman as our chief experience officer. And, she's been able to have 3 kids under 3 years old, and she's been able to stay at home and breastfeed. And, she wakes up at 2 a.m. and she breastfeeds a kid. She can break down a few videos then. She wants to.
Right.
And so that flexibility of being able, both for the client to train anywhere they want, anytime they want with the equipment they have, whether that's the home gym or the big box gym or the hotel gym or whatever, but also the same flexibility and improvement goes to the coach. We can coach anywhere we want, anytime we want. Like you said, you did this in Vietnam. I've done it in Scotland. I did it in Mexico a few weeks ago. I was in Florida last week for a TV shoot. I'm in a super rural cabin, and thank God for Elon Musk, who provided Starlink. So I've got some decent internet down here at the cabin now. So, I got up this morning and just broke down all my videos from a rural cabin in the Ozarks. And man, if you can do this in Vietnam, I've done it in Haiti or rural cabins in the Ozarks, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing that's been interesting is watching, you guys were already sort of in suburban, not like super, you're in New Jersey, but like it was interesting how many people we saw leave the big metropolitan cities for at least suburban or even slightly rural areas of the cities, so that cost of living was lower. Again, you didn't have to commute into downtown Manhattan, downtown Chicago, LA, San Francisco, whatever, to coach. So you can get yourself a nice house or a nice place to live that's 30, 40 minutes outside the city. So you still have access to the city when you want to go, see a show, see a concert, see a comedian, see a football game. So those things, you are probably one of the best testimonials that we have as a coach to be able to do this. And so, 50 clients, like that's a pretty solid yearly revenue
Yeah.
for not 8 hours a day.
You can even live in New Jersey.
Yeah, for 1 to 2 hours a day. Our listeners hear me say this all the time. And I think, obviously I'm the founder and the owner. So like, I don't know, maybe this guy's full of crap or he's just, Reynolds exaggerating a little bit or whatever. But I love having a coach like you who's been like, hey, I've been here since day one and it changed my life since day one. And I made more money. It was more efficient and things went well. But as we've developed our own software, it's even got better and better and better. So we don't have to actually give numbers, but I know you are a metrics-based guy, and you and Andrew Jackson have talked about like what the actual dollar per hour is for you and for some of our other coaches. And it's no one else is making this in the industry unless you are literally coaching, famous actors who are going to play Thor in a Marvel movie. No one makes more money per hour than our coaches do. Only we don't have to, again, I would even argue like those coaches are literally showing up at 4:00 in the morning at, Mark Wahlberg's house to coach that guy. And we make similar money per hour drinking coffee from our living room in our sweatpants.
Yep.
And so that's a pretty sweet gig. So I love it.
I can't imagine there's too many coaches who have had as wonderful a transition into just the quality of life level that I feel like I have. I mean, we bought a house here just 4 years ago now, and we're 25 minutes from the beach. We talked about that a little bit. We can get to the city. We can get to concerts. I watched a Foo Fighters concert from a whaling boat last year. It was cheaper than buying a ticket to the festival. And I spent the morning breaking down videos from the living room.
I remember sitting a couple years ago, I was at what is pronounced Oban, which we would say Oban, the Scotch. I was just sitting out looking over the bay at Oban, Scotland. And I'm breaking down videos in Scotland and I'm like, this is my life. I get paid to do this. This is bizarre. And so, yeah, it's been really crazy. So, man, thank you so much for sharing your story. That's been excellent. Again, I always want to say this, and because I think it's important, you are not the exception to the rule. This is, I think maybe the most important piece of the whole thing is like, you're the norm. If someone will do the thing and actually do the work, and we've given you a lot of clients, but you've also gone out and hustled and got a lot of your own clients, you still utilize in-person sessions. You'll have somebody come in for a one-off and you're great at upselling them to online coaching.
It's such a better deal for them.
Oh, of course.
They get feedback on every workout from their home.
You don't have to pay $600, $700, $800 a month. You can pay $225 a month or $300 a month and still get the expert coach and do it, the flexibility to train from home, the hotel gym.
Nobody comes to me the first day and says, I know how to do all my programming.
Of course.
Right? They say, tell me how to program myself forever. And it's like, well, I can give you a book. I can give you some basic concepts, but I can't tell you everything that's going to go wrong in the next 6 weeks and how you're going to need to change the programming.
What are you going to do when you tweak your knee or when you get plantar fasciitis or you have the car wreck or you get COVID for 2 weeks or like.
I see Monday's workout. I'm in the calendar. I'm changing Thursday's workout. There, right there.
That's exactly right.
That's the big sell for me.
I had 2 guys. I have a bunch of guys right now that have newborns at home. I had one guy who was like, I was up till 2 a.m. with the newborn. So normally I train in the morning, I train tonight. And I said, oh, thank you for letting me know. I can back off the stress for you.
Yeah.
And if you give them a cookie cutter template, it doesn't incorporate any of that stuff. And so, your kid's up sick, throwing up all night long, your baby doesn't sleep, you have an argument with your spouse, you're stressed about work. Whatever those external stresses are, like stress is just a budget. And what we do in the weight room is stress. And your body doesn't really understand the difference. And so if we have control as both coaches and clients of the amount of stress that we can give our clients and do in the weight room, but we don't have control of all the other stuff, the work stress and the life stress and the kid stress and the spouse stress and, the sickness stress, and to be able to give them truly personalized programming. So when that stress kicks up, like, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to back off your intensity 10% and we're going to back off your volume 50%. So still pretty heavy, but lower volume. It's way less stress. And your job is to eat a really good dinner tonight and go to bed at 7:45 so that tomorrow
bust the workout out in 40 minutes because that's all you're going to have because you're going to have to deal with the newborn.
That's exactly right. 35, 40-minute workout, get in, get out, go to bed, watch a movie with your family, get a good night's sleep, and then let's hit it again. So That's the stuff that the cookie cutter templates can't do. And so, look, if you're a 20-year-old college kid that's broke and all you can afford is $50 a month, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I hope we're able to change the perception of what true professional online coaching is, which is not selling a program. Programming is obviously a big part of online coaching, but it should be personalized. It's not cookie cutter template. And that's just step one. And then after that, it's like, okay, technique breakdown, accountability, build the relationship, build trust. Have you proven yourself to your client to have the expertise or ability? Do you have the integrity to follow through and say what you're going to do, what you say you're going to do? And do you actually care? Do you have the benevolence? And it's authentic. It's not putting on a face, which you can do for 2 weeks, but you cannot do it for 5 years. Dude, did you know this? Like, I don't think I've said this on the podcast. I got this stat last week. Do you know that 15% of our clients are BL1K clients? 15% have completed 1,000 workouts.
It's incredible.
That is insane. 15%. I mean, we're talking about like 200 people have completed 1,000 workouts.
Well, I had one go in February. Is he included that stat?
Yeah. Listen, our 2 lead investors, let's just say over $1 million a piece, like significant money out of their pocket, are both BL1K clients. They have completed over 1,000 workouts with the business. To me, those are the testimonials. Or, 75% of our investors in the earliest round, in our seed round, came in and invested over what they were basically asked to do in the recent Series A. Because, those are the things that go, well, how is it even possible that we have 200 clients who've done 1,000 plus workouts?
Yeah, because that's 7 years at 3 workouts a week.
That's right. That's right.
7 years at 3 workouts a week. Thereabouts. It's a lot.
And we spend a lot of time making sure you get connected with the right coach. And so, the clients that you coach are a little different than the clients I coach. I've talked about guys like, Dr. Sullivan, who coaches seniors, or Nikki Berman, who coaches postpartum females. I have no idea how to coach a postpartum female. I'm assuming you don't either.
Nope.
Because I've never been a postpartum female. And so, but we have coaches that are great for every demographic. And so that's the thing that works. So yeah. So anyway, dude, thank you so much for what you've been as a coach. You've crushed it. You have perfect 100% on-time delivery within 24 hours. You have the highest ranking of any coach. I don't think you've ever missed one. You have one that's on it. And we've talked about this before. We're certain that it was a glitch in the app. You've never missed a breakdown in your entire career in 24 hours. Like, that's insane.
Well, I'm not allowed to. Rules say I have to get them done in the 24 hours. I usually just work so far ahead. I don't ever get close to one. I don't ever have one that's 23 hours and 59.
Yeah. We have a cool data point that Andrew shares with me sometimes too on what the average time delay on breakdown is too. That's a really interesting number. Obviously, we're not going to share that, but there's coaches that are like right under 24 hours. They're kind of like always pushing and that's not you. You're a sublet. You're like, your average breakdown's 8 to 12 hours after the workout. It's just super fast. And that's the way you do it.
My blood pressure goes up if I have one due soon. My blood pressure just goes up. It's just better quality of life for me.
Yeah, it hangs over you. It's like when you had a paper in college due. You're like, I just want to get this off my plate so I don't have to think about it.
I go to bed Tuesday night knowing that I don't have anything due till 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon Wednesday. I'm sleeping a little better.
Right. You sleep great. Awesome, man. Thank you so much for your story. I'm sure we'll talk more and have you on again. Adam Skillin, are you open for clients right now?
Absolutely.
All right. So awesome. So you can get matched with a coach. You can see Adam Skillin, Skillin, on Barbell Logic on the website, and you can request him. You're an exclusive coach, right?
Yes.
So kind of our top level coaches, the ones who have more clients or more sought after, they're a few bucks more per month, but absolutely worth it. Adam's a phenomenal coach. Again, he's been with us since day one. He's an OG, been an incredible, bastion of the culture at Barbell Logic, and has done such an incredible job. So thank you so much for what you mean for the business, and thank you for the testimonial, both as a coach and let the client see what they get. And it's been great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, because wouldn't even be doing this if it wasn't for you.
This business would not have survived if it weren't for people like you. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship for sure. I certainly couldn't have done it all on my shoulders, and I'm very grateful for the team that we have. So That is another episode of the Barbell Logic Podcast Coaching Success Series. We would love a 5-star review. Or if you hear this and you're like, hey, I want a great coach, but you're a postpartum female or a 65-year-old senior, we've got great coaches for you too. You can go to the Get Matched survey, totally free. There's no risk. And you can go in and fill out a few questions about your goals and personality and equipment that you have and injuries in the past. And it will pair you with, I think it's your top 8 or top 6 coaches. And you can then look at their bios and read them and be like, ooh, I think this coach would be great for me. And you can pick your coach. But Skillin's a phenomenal coach. So he's still got a few openings. So if you want him, he'll take it. So barbelllogic.com, and you can just go to his bio. You can look at the team, find Adam Skillin, and then just click the link that says Get Coaching with Adam Skillin, and you'll get assigned to Adam. That's it. That's another episode of the Barbell Logic Podcast. I think we'll see you next Friday with Jesse Meekum talking about when it's the right time to leave that main gig and go to the full-time new business. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys next Friday.